collectors and action figure fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Sideshow exclusive Hot Toys MMS 415 of the Iron Man 3 Mark 23, otherwise known as Shades. For the package, you got a really cool reflective surface right here with a really nice side image of Shades, and then you got Shades along the side. It says that it's the Extreme Heat Suit, which, honestly, I think that might be the first time they actually tell you what the purpose of the suit is. That's kind of interesting. But you got the Mark 23 and the numbers and Roman numerals. The side here has that same kind of foil sort of surface there carrying over. On the back, you got various warnings and contact information for Hot Toys, and much like all the other House Party Protocol suits, you lift that up, and on the back of the inner package, you got the cast and crew responsible for making them, and then you can see a lot of that actual kind of camouflage image carries on, much like what we had here on the actual suit. And then the front, you have an open window that fully showcases the figure as well as his accessories. And yes, being one of the House Party Protocol suits, it is just a repaint, but it is a really cool looking one nonetheless. But you'll see, so without further ado, let's get this guy out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Shades opened up and out of its packaging. And much like all Iron Man suits, you do get the instruction manual. See, it says Shades right there, it says Iron Man 3 on the back. You open this up, not really much is all that different. If you have the shotgun armor, you pretty much know exactly what to expect with this, as this is just a repaint of it. But it shows how to install the batteries for the eyes, the arc reactor, the repulsors, how the articulation actually is incorporated. And then there are a couple subtle differences between this and that shotgun armor, specifically in the battle damage parts. This guy doesn't actually have that, and the pieces right here, which were swappable on that shotgun armor, have been replaced and been permanently attached, so you can't remove those. In terms of the overall figure, that's really all that's different. For the accessories, you do get a pair of right and left articulated hands, which is fairly standard. It has that kind of camouflage sort of pixelation on it, much like the rest of the body, and we'll take a closer look at that. You also do get a pair of repulsor blasting hands with the wrist in this angle where you can have the hands positioned upward like so, and then you can see you also do get a pair of fisted hands. Obviously, you get all the batteries and a little tool to kind of pull the pieces away from the body so that you can put those in, and then you get a fairly standard display that we don't really get a lot of those kind of generic oval ones anymore. Most of the Iron Man ones come with this kind of like Hall of Armor sort of base, where you also have the little flexible pillar you can see in the bottom that they used to actually light up. They don't anymore, but you got that flexible pillar so that you can create some kind of flying poses, and then you got the little C-clamp here with some foam padding on the inside here, and then on this bottom section so that obviously nothing rubs on the figure. And then because he is a 1/6 scale figure, here's my little ruler. As you can see, he's actually a little bit taller than that, so he's about 12.5 inches tall, which is about normal for Iron Man figures. But getting the comparisons out right away, obviously here he is. And here is that shotgun armor. So as you can see, molding wise, he's the exact same, except for the battle damage part right here. This could actually remove and had a couple different extra little pieces just to kind of replicate how Gilligan kind of like touched them and melted them. And then also you do have a Tony Stark portrait with this one that the new Shades figure actually doesn't come with, which is perfectly fine because we did see him wearing this suit in the movie. We never really saw this suit. It is suggested that he was there, but we never really saw him, much like a lot of the Iron Man suits. But you can see basically all you really have is a difference in terms of the paint. But the detail on the paint job is really very nice. It really is very simplistic in its design. As you can see, it's just kind of like this pixelated camo sort of look, but really does have a very cool look to it. And then one thing that I'm noticing is that some of the actual silver has a very cool reflective surface to it that kind of picks up some of the colors that are surrounding it, kind of giving it almost like a rainbow sort of effect. It's really cool how they did that. But the design is still really cool. The suit is very neat. Now this was, in terms of, I guess, movie universe, released before, or I should say created before the Mark 40, which is the shotgun. The design for this was reused for that, but this is more specifically designed as an extreme heat suit, which specifically talks about how it's designed for deserts. And obviously with the different coloring and camouflage, you have that. Now, you do have some green in there. I don't know how much green you have in a desert. I mean, I guess there is some, but now one thing that's actually funny is that it's also speculated that the extreme heat resistance of this is enough that it can actually withstand withstand lava, which obviously explains why this probably never fought any of the extremist soldiers, especially Aldrich Killian, because he wouldn't have been able to affect this in theory. But still really great detail. Like I said, I love the actual, I mean, it's just a fairly reflective silver paint on there, but it captures it so very nicely. You can see it very well down here. I don't know how well that's coming across, but there's a bit of a rainbow effect in there, which I think is really very cool. And you can see all the way down to the leg, you get that very streamlined kind of speed look that the shotgun hypervelocity armor had. Great detail throughout the entire thing, like with the joints and then the feet area, just absolutely gorgeous. I love how you also have some wear marks right through here. Great paint variation. So overall, a very cool looking suit, I would say, which is kind of funny because, you know, hey, extreme heat. Now to activate the lights and stuff, you want to pull the head off. I'm going to show you the different features. So you got the little light up section underneath here that you can turn that on, but pulling that forward, you can see really cool light up eyes, very bright. This section here doesn't remove as I showed, so there's no actual face or anything underneath there. So you do have that light up feature, which again, fairly standard on an Iron Man piece. Putting that right back there. You come around here to the back, you want to detach this from the body, and then you got the switch right here that when you flip that, get that in there, you can see really very cool arc reactor right up there. And then it's a unique look as well. I like the unique looks of some of those arc reactors that don't have the round section. Then you can remove this and you can see that you get a much larger kind of rectangular section right there. The actual chest piece here kind of minimizes it and makes it a little bit smaller, but again, great paint detail and sculpting on the under section right there. And then the other thing that's really cool is that you do get the light up thrusters right there. It's, like I said, eventually going to be the hypervelocity armor, so that makes sense to light that up, and I really love that. I think that's a very cool touch. Anytime that they're able to take the lighting sections and kind of spread them out and make other parts light up, I think is really very, very cool. So put that right back in there. Come around here, and then again, just looking at the detail, I mean, absolutely gorgeous. I love the way that that looks. And then you just put that right back on there. But I do kind of actually like the more streamlined look right here. I mean, I dig that. And then obviously you do have the light up hands. I didn't put the batteries in there. We've seen all of these numerous amount of times, but to actually put the lights in there, you remove this section right here, and then you put the batteries in there, and then you got the on and off switch right there. So putting that right back. Overall, I mean, very cool looking suit that has a great amount of detail, and like I said, while having a very simple paint application, looks really cool. Now, as I talked about, because it is just a reuse of that previous body, the articulation is basically the exact same. So the head does have a little bit of a restriction going left and right because of these giant sections here for his shoulders, so you don't get a lot of range of motion, honestly. Most of it comes in forward and back, but what's cool is as you move it forward, this piece, and I'm just gonna pop this off so you can see it, moving this back actually shifts that entire section back, which I think is terrific. You get a much higher kind of flight pose, and again, obviously the main purpose of this was a super fast flying suit, so that makes sense that something like that would be incorporated. But there is that limitation looking left and right. I mean, if you angle it up, you can kind of get them looking like that, but not a lot of range of motion there. Come down here to the shoulders. First, really what you want to do is extend them out, and then you get a full range of motion. When you have them collapsed in, you can see that the little shoulder piece here is very close to the rest of the body, and you don't want to damage any of it. Now, it can move, and this can kind of flex out of the way, but you are getting some scraping on there. So if you're going to rotate the arms, just pull it out a little bit. You don't have to pull it all the way out. You can just kind of move it out like that and then rotate it. So you do get that. It does have a little bit of a butterfly joint. You can also extend it out fairly nicely. As you can see, that does get in the way. Leaving that collapsed in, you can still rotate it in, but again, there could be some rubbing, so do be careful. He rotates at the upper part of the bicep, come to the elbow, and I want to say, I don't want to push too hard. I thought that there was an extra, well, no, I guess there is two joints, but it only really gives you a 90-degree range of motion, but there are two joints here. You can see that that's one joint, and then another one right there. So don't push it too far like I was trying to do. You do have the ball joint here at the wrist, so you get a nice range of motion if you have the articulated hands, which typically that's how I display mine with the articulated hands, because you can kind of make a fist out of it. So I usually will use these. You do have the full range of motion in the fingers. Come down here to the waist. He does rotate a little bit at the upper diaphragm area, but you can also extend the body up and get a much further range of motion with it, and it also gets a lot more kind of bending forward and back, so lots of range of motion there when you just extend that joint up. Come down here to the actual hips. You have a whole bunch of little hip panels right here that kind of lift up. This one here does, this one here does, the back kind of does, so these kind of get out of the way to bring the legs about that far or so, and then you can also move them out about that far. The little butt plate here is a bit of a springy thing, so you can kind of move it back a little bit as well, but the actual hips do extend down, and then you can again leave that fully up like that, and then you get a much further range of motion both forward and back, in and out, and then I guess if you wanted to go backwards, you can get more going back. Again, the little flexible butt plate makes that possible. So collapsing that back up, he also does rotate a little bit here at the upper part of the thigh, but again, be careful when you have it collapsed all the way because things do rub, so you do get that rotation. Come down to the knee. You got two joints at the knee, which gives you a really nice deep bend. You got one joint right there, and then you got the second one there, and then you come down to the ankle. You got little pieces right here that kind of flex up, so that's a bit of an articulation bit right there. You can move that kind of around. You got a little flexing, well, I want to say that these little bits here move. Yeah, that little piece here comes out a little bit. I don't know if there's any side ones or anything of that nature, but you do have the back piece. But all of that is so that you can actually extend that down, and then you got a little bit of a flex piece right here on his foot, and then you can pivot that in and out, moves forward and back, gives you a little bit range, or more of a range of motion in it. So as usual, lots of articulation in the figure to get some really cool poses. I know it's another Iron Man suit that is basically just a repaint, but you guys know how much I love these, and I find the positive in a lot of these, and the look on this is really very cool, I think. But obviously, another Iron Man suit that probably not all Hot Toy collectors are gonna want. If you're an Iron Man fan, this is probably one that you're gonna look at, especially if you're already collecting the House Party Protocol. If you're in deep with that, this is one you're gonna need to get as well. But I think it's a really nice suit nonetheless. Utilizing a mold and a suit that previously was really very cool looking, obviously that being the shotgun, but then putting the camo paint on here I think really does look cool. It's just a really well-designed looking piece that, as I said, obviously is going to have a limited appeal to people, but the ones that are going to like it are probably going to like it a lot. Obviously, I'm one of those. Now, Shades here is exclusively available through Sideshow Collectibles and was first available at San Diego Comic-Con. It was kind of like their San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. But if you didn't make the show, you can still pick this up. Sideshow has a very limited quantity available on their website, so if you want to pick this up, all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Sideshow where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of the wide range of Hot Toys 1/6 scale figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that if you like this video, to please hit that thumbs up button. It goes a long way towards helping me out, and I'd really appreciate it. Also, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe in case you haven't already subscribed. It's free, and you'll get instant email notifications whenever I upload a new video, and you'll never miss out on a future review of mine. Or hey, if you're already subscribed, do me a real quick favor and click on that little bell right below this video, and double check your settings to make sure that they're set so that you get those email notifications. And as always, until next time, be excellent to each other.